The FMS MXS, yeah, that's totally easy to say, is probably the best non-profile 3D plane out there that you're gonna get for the price, and for $239, it's awesome. But a little pro tip from me, remember to screw in the wings, otherwise this happens. It's pretty durable, but it's not durable enough to take a full-on impact with the ground, so I got new parts to try again. After all, I've got to make these videos for you guys. MXS does some really nice inverted Harrier, which is a total breeze if you're used to flying with rudder and some counter aileron, and it has no wing rock at all in this condition. Upright Harrier is pretty good too, but it has some wing rock at lower angles of attack. Hovering and torque rolling is really good overall, but it's prone to getting a little squirrely in the wind. It does fantastic crankshafts for a foam airplane, and pop-tops are really good overall. It also does fantastic knife edge so long as you're careful with rudder. It's kind of unstable if you try to jam it into a knife edge too quickly. It runs on a 3-cell battery, and I replaced the stock ESC to get voltage telemetry using a 45 amp Avian ESC, which was run to a Spektrum AR631 receiver. No, for the haters who love to comment, this makes literally no difference aside from giving me battery information in flight. I'm just letting you know for full disclosure. Link is in the description if you want to upgrade the stock ESC though. But hey, I'm not just here to show you how cool this plane is. I actually hate recording the transmitter view because I have to wear this goofy harness to point my GoPro at it, and it's super annoying, but you guys are worth it. So here's a mini 3D tutorial with this plane so you can see my hand movements in real time. Let's begin by covering Harriers. They're super easy to do once you get used to them. Pull the elevator, feed in throttle, then steer around with rudder. Counter any wing drops with aileron. It's super simple once you get used to it. Harrier mastery lays the foundation for the rest of your 3D abilities. If you're having troubles with this, definitely focus on watching my hand movements, because if I can do this, you can do it too. Inverted Harrier is trickier than regular upright Harrier. You still steer with rudder, but directions are reversed. When the plane comes at you, rudder directions are normal. When it's traveling away, rudder directions are opposite. It'll take you a bit to get used to this, but it eventually becomes intuitive. Since it's inverted Harrier, you push the nose up with down elevator pressure and use throttle to maintain the angle of attack. Rolling Harriers combine all of the sticks into a single fluid movement. Many pilots find this to be one of the most difficult intermediate 3D skills to learn, but it's all on display here. Feel free to slow the video down to 25% in YouTube's playback settings to see it in action. It might take you a bit to get it down, but once you do, the MXS makes it super easy to perform. Rolling Harriers are like riding a bicycle. You never really forget once you learn, but it's tricky to get down at first. Harrier landings are what you'll want to do with the MXS, so get used to the idea of holding the nose up and letting it drop down on the wheels. Plus, it looks super cool landing like this. Well, yeah, you could land it conventionally, but it is a 3D plane, and with that means that it takes a bit of effort to land outside of a Harrier, and it's prone to dropping out of the sky without throttle. You'll have to bring it in with throttle anyhow, so why not do it in style? The throttle settings required to land conventionally are also on the border of being too fast or too slow, so you either miss the landing target or it stalls and immediately sinks like a sack of bricks. Landing in a Harrier is the go-to way to ensure total control over the landing no matter what kind of wind you're dealing with. Take the Harrier pill, you won't go back to landing any other way. I should probably cover takeoff since I covered landings. Maybe spin out before you throttle up to take off with some excitement, otherwise it's just like any other 3D plane, just throttle up and go. Takeoff is more forgiving than landing is, so don't be afraid to just throw it into the air and have some fun. The most interesting 3D flying comes from taking the individual maneuvers and combining them into something greater than the original moves. If you're still learning how to do 3D, take the MXS and transition from a Harrier to a hover. If you're not confident with hovering just yet, do it a few mistakes up and find the sweet spot where the plane spins like a top. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable and you'll find that your skills rapidly increase until doing this kind of stuff is super basic for you. I hope the on-screen display helps here so you can see how to do some of this yourself. Take advantage of replaying the video over specific sections and use the 25% playback feature in YouTube to see how it's all done. I've made videos on how to do 3D before, so I don't want to dive much more into it here, but I'll leave the stick camera up until I run out of footage with it. The GoPro eventually died on me because I'd forgotten to charge its batteries, so I'm shocked that I got as much footage as I did with the stick camera visible. MXS is a phenomenal little bird that flies exceptionally well on 3S batteries, so it's inexpensive to both own and operate. And it doesn't need anything fancy for a receiver either. You saw me using an AR631 earlier when I installed the battery, a Helios pack from Hangar 18 Hobbies here in Cary, North Carolina. There's not really much that this plane won't do, and in many ways I think it's a better foam 3D offering than the E-flite Extra 300. Not only is it less expensive, if you have a receiver that is, it's also smaller and it runs really well on 3S batteries. While it does drop a wing when it stalls, it's so forgiving that it's hard to even notice. If you do start to stall, just throttle up, you won't even notice it. It probably won't come as a surprise to you that the MXS is getting a solid 9.5 out of 10. The price point, the acro potential, the servo quality, almost everything about this bird is perfect, except one little thing. In my search for full throws, I started seeing the elevator's foam hinge separate, so I had to fix them with pinned hinges to ensure that they wouldn't separate in flight. Not a huge issue, but something to be aware of. MXS is a phenomenal 3D plane for the price, and I'm sure that you'll love it. I mean, just look at this thing go. It's insanely fun, and it's not often that you'll find me grabbing something out of the sky unless I love it. Though it's kinda dicey to try and do this while it's windy, it's still totally doable. Obligatory jackass warning. Don't do this unless you're prepared to eat a face full of spinning propeller. So basically, don't do it. It's not safe, but it is fun. MXS can be the 3D trainer that you're looking for, or a fun foam model to fly around to save your Woody from getting damaged if you want to fly some crazier maneuvers that you haven't tried yet. It's pretty good all around, and it's hard to pass up something this fun for as inexpensive as it is. Use the codes referral TwoBrosRC for 10% off on fmshobby.com, or the code TwoBrosRC for $10 off if you've already used the 10% off coupon before. Thanks for watching, and consider joining us on Discord to share your experiences with the MXS. See you guys next time.